And welcome back to another astrology breakdown video. I am your host, Veneficus, and today joining me is my special guest, Cicada Cam from the Cicada Cam TikTok channel. You can check her out, she's pretty neat. And today we're doing things differently than I've ever done them before because you can't see me.
Yeah, but I can see you, except I can't see who's watching the video. And anyway, so yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and it's going to be different than we've done things before because we're going to be approaching it from two different perspectives. So you could say that one side is more rational, the other's more intuitive, sort of a masculine, feminine approach. So I think having two astrologers going at this is going to be really different, and we're excited to dive into it and see how it goes.
So let us waste no more time in jumping into our client's chart because our client has been very patient with us as it is so far. And the first thing that we are going to be talking about is your Venus alignment in Scorpio. You know, right off the top with this alignment, it makes me think of somebody whose love really runs deep, but is kept in a mysterious place, is kept in a very secret place. So it's going to take somebody very special to you to actually get that close, to actually see that side of you.
Yeah, I would actually furthermore add too that your Venus is sitting in the sixth house, and the sixth house represents bad fortune. And so it makes me think that your peace and balance when it comes to things like relationships in the home has been compromised to a point where it may instill trust issues in the sense of having to maintain that secrecy within your relationships or how you express your love.
Yeah, that's true. I see how it's in the sixth house. So you're looking at Venus, Scorpio in the sixth house. And I think that it's very important that we actually take these one alignment at a time, because if you don't take them one at a time, it can get a little bit confusing, a little bit jumbled up. And it's when you can just look at it one step at a time, that's how you'll eventually see the entire picture together. So anyway, yeah, so just focusing on the Venus Scorpio in the sixth house, let's try to take a little bit of a deeper dive.
Yeah, that kind of alignment makes me think that there's also probably been some sort of power struggles in your life, whether that's with romantic relationships or otherwise, or even just within your own mental space, especially with Scorpio being ruled by the planet of Mars. So you're dealing with a lot of power and war and authority, in an area that has to do with love and your capacity to give and receive. And so it makes me think there may have even been some abusive situations and things that make you feel small or make you feel incompetent with other people. Would you say that's accurate, or do you feel like that's reaching?
No, I see what you're saying. So you're basically comparing the heart factor, the love energy that is Venus, and because it is in the god of war like nature of Scorpio, this could imply a lot of actually tenseness or conflict around the matters of the heart.
Right.
Something else to consider when it comes to Scorpio is what they would call fixed water, also known as ice, and Venus is the heart. And so this is literally like having your heart frozen. This can literally imply being cold, or having a very dry or cold sense of humor, or just you could be cold-hearted. Doesn't always have to manifest in that way, but especially maybe during times where people are getting too close to your comfort zone, times that make you actually feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? You're going to sting. You're going to give them that Scorpio sting when they are getting too close to your heart.
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay, I actually love what you said about her heart kind of being locked away in this block of ice, because Venus, on an astronomical level, is hot enough to melt lead, and lead is the element that's associated with Saturn.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so, and then not to mention the transformation aspect of Scorpio. So It really shows me that you have the capacity, and in fact, maybe the mission in your life is to recognize how to transmute that bitterness or that coldness into that warmth that is Venus.
I like what we've been talking about with Venus so far, but I think it's time that we move on to a different alignment. And so far, we've been talking about the things that have been challenging to you, which is typically what we like to talk about on this channel. So let's talk a little bit more about what's challenging you, and then we'll try to talk more about what's benefiting you here. So let's move over to your Saturn alignment in Pisces, which is actually, very near and dear to my heart because I am also a Saturn Pisces alignment. So this will be fun.
Yeah, and I have Saturn in the 11th house. So that's really fun. So when it comes to Saturn in the 11th house particularly, you might have a lot of karmic significance when it comes to maintaining friendships. And so it's really about finding that balance between setting boundaries with your platonic relationships while also having the capacity to open up and just be really honest about how you feel and what you need, and not letting yourself isolate too much. Or even when it comes to the Saturn in Pisces, a lot of people with that alignment tend to turn to escapism, or sometimes it manifests into addictions.
Yeah.
Would you say that's pretty accurate as a Saturn Pisces?
Oh, yeah. And something else that's really good to remember about Saturn is that Saturn is restricting wherever he is. And so in your case, he is restricting Pisces, and then he is just restricting the 11th house. And so with Pisces, that what is being restricted is literally your emotions, to be the most basic and blunt, the water sign. So it's restriction of emotions. And so just going off the most basic thing here is that this could imply that there is emotional suppression happening. But to take it deeper, like Pisces is dreams. And so in my particular case, I had very vivid dreams when I was young, but then as it became older, these dreams were taken away from me. This was, they were suppressed. I used to be able to lucid dream every single night, and now I can't. Now I barely remember my dreams.
Right.
They are now restricted from me. Mm-hmm. And so, look for similar examples for you in your life, like what is being restricted for you, and look to the areas of Pisces and to the areas of the 11th house, which is like Aquarius.
Alliances, friendships, hopes, dreams.
Precisely.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the 11th house is about good spirits. So what keeps you good spirited, and how is that being restricted or suppressed from you?
So you're a Saturn Pisces. So I'm going to tell you the kind of person that you are is the sort of person that has to eliminate the illusion. That, especially if you see other people that are in an illusion, you may feel the need to break them out of that spell. Mostly in the case for yourself, though, like within your own thoughts, you're going to be a bit of a perfectionist, like constantly looking for the illusions or traps that you might have set for yourself and attempting to eliminate them. I believe that Pisces, Saturn people are, very smart in that way for that reason, is that maybe when they were young, they were very gullible, like easy to trick. But
right.
Now that they've grown up and become older, very difficult to trick. Like maybe one of the hardest people to fool. I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. They possess this sense of rigid wisdom in a way. And I think it's due to the fact that they are used to that sense of gullibility, that they don't want to be fooled again. And so now they kind of have this reserved attitude about what is real and what is not.
Wow,
and then breaking the illusions within others because they're able to recognize it more than other people.
Wow. Well, that resonates with me. But...
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Okay, yeah. So with that said, do you feel like you have anything positive to say about that Saturn Pisces alignment?
Well, one thing that I can say is that Saturn, or wherever Saturn is, he essentially slows down or turns you into a slow learner of that area. But you become the eventual master. It's like because of your slowed down rate of learning, it's like you picked up every single detail. And so with Pisces, that is the realm of the subconscious, or like the spiritual realm. And so basically the path that you are on is becoming the eventual master of the subconscious, or of, of the spiritual realm. And, in my opinion, that's major. It's, some could consider that a huge responsibility, which is exactly what Saturn corresponds with, is responsibility.
Right.
So you literally are being told that you have responsibility when it comes to spiritual matters.
Mic drop. I don't know what else to say. And that actually segues really well into the placement of the midheaven, because it's sitting in Aquarius, which corresponds with the 11th house.
Right?
Yeah. And so there is this responsibility and this calling to bring this new vision to humanity and to the people around you. The Aquarius is the water bearer, and the water itself is correspondent to the subconscious as well. And so you're almost like a world bridger. You bridge two worlds together for people. So you would do really well doing something like being an architect of new systems that can bring people into a community, or something to do with...
And if I can just cut in there, I actually feel like, a good calling for a midheaven Aquarius is actually somebody who is leading people.
Yeah.
Like even in a spiritual way. Like they might not, see themselves doing that, because Aquarius more likes to lead from the background, but they actually would make like some sort of good like spiritual leader, like say like a pastor, but they probably would be somebody that would like help in the background of, say, like a church or some religious organization. You know what I mean? Like they would be in some sort of like monk monastery. You know what I mean? And they would be like some sort of high ranking person that helps everybody, but you wouldn't really know their name. They wouldn't be the face, they wouldn't be the preacher. But they help in that area. It could also just be in like social work, or even in like a form of therapy or counseling, something that you're helping the people, gives you the sense that you're really helping your community. Absolutely.
And she doesn't need to be in the limelight for that. She doesn't care about having the pride in the public reputation necessarily, just being that sense of guidance for people in its very natural way. But she doesn't expect anything in return, because she just wants to give that.
So before we change topics, I feel like it's important to make clear that the midheaven is about the career. It is the energy associated with the career path. And so if you want to know more about your career, or the energy that you should move towards when it comes to your career, you should look at the midheaven, or you should look at Capricorn or Saturn. So, and not really connected in any way to what we were talking about previously, I actually want to bring the attention over to your Chiron in Libra in the 5th house, because I just feel like that needs to go addressed if we're going to be talking about your natal astrology today.
Yeah, the Chiron placement really makes me think that there's been some damage in the area of play and your sense of childlike wonder, and being able to genuinely express yourself in an authentic way, especially with it being in Libra as well. So sort of how your relationships maybe in your early childhood, because again, the 5th house also corresponds with children. And so you can look at it like the area in which you were a child was wounded in Libra, which is your sense of justice, your sense of fairness, what is right to you. So you might have witnessed a lot of moments where something was unfair to you.
Wow.
And that kind of damaged your inner child.
Yeah, like that could be very much interpreted as like literally feeling like you were treated unfairly as a child.
Exactly.
Like especially when probably times that you felt like you were trying to entertain everybody else, or you were really trying to express yourself, you really needed to be heard, you weren't. Like that just kind of fell onto deaf ears when you really needed it to not to, and maybe your parents were great, it could have just been the wrong moment at the wrong time, or it might not have been your parents. This could be an example that manifested through teachers or bosses. It doesn't always mean parents. It's just usually parents.
Right. And not to mention Libra is a representation of the other, or the other person.
Right.
Right. And so anyone who is, and so anyone who is in your vicinity of witnessing you and who you are might have been a factor in damaging that part of yourself where you feel like that ability to express.
Actually, now that you bring the attention to Libra, this actually means that this could have manifested through like a relationship, a partnership, whether that was through business or like a romantic partnership, where like that's where this big wound of Chiron happened, was, in a romantic affair.
Yeah, it could very well be that. And I would furthermore add, too, that it could be due to the wounding that happened in the childhood, it manifested in her later romantic or even platonic relationships. And so it's sort of like a karmic Chiron pattern where she experienced a sense of unfairness or unjust. And it's sort of circulated throughout her later relationships. Would you say that's accurate, too?
Yeah.
So do you feel like you have anything more to say about that Chiron alignment?
One thing that I believe is pretty important I should mention is, remembering that Chiron is the area of which, like, you've taken a wound. And because you've taken this wound, you typically empathize with other people that have taken the same wound. And so that's why we call Chiron the wounded healer, because he spends his time essentially healing other people that were hurt the same way that he was hurt. Okay, anyway. So your Chiron is in Libra. Libra has to do with justice. So you've taken a wound in the area of justice, which makes me think that when it comes to you dictating justice or even just making the definitive decision, you struggle, or you feel like you are not worthy to do that. That because you're wounded there, that like you might have made a decision, like a very important decision in your past, and it went horribly wrong or something. And everybody got hurt, or you got hurt. And so now you're afraid that essentially you are afraid to get hurt that way again, to make the solid decision, to make the hard decision, to stand up for justice, to do the right thing. Might be like, you might want to just defer that. You might want to just let other people, take that on. That just might be what your instincts tell you to do, because it's just like, hey, I've been hurt here before. It's hard to make that kind of decision again. Something else that is very much worth mentioning is the fact that your Mercury and North Node are also both in Libra. And so with Mercury being there, it tells me that your mind is constantly on Libra topics, that when it comes to justice and, those sort of things, that you're going to think about that. You're toiling on it when it comes to, on a conscious level. And then with the North Node being there, like that's literally an indicator of your destiny path. It tells me that you are very much supposed to stand up to these wounds. You know what I mean? That you're supposed to actually be the one that makes these, decisions. You're supposed to be the one that actually is the judge and makes these definitive decisions, because that is where your North Node is. That is your destiny path. So you are supposed to be the Libra regardless of the wounds.
Wow.
And that is going to be, harder for you than it is for most people, because Chiron is there. Go ahead, Cameron.
Well, I love that, because you also have Mercury conjunct with Chiron in Libra as well. And so your ability of communicating corresponds with Libra too. And so you actually have this natural inclination to speak like Libra, to speak to the matters of justice, to speak to the matters of balance and peace and restoration between people.
Right. The biggest thing here is actually knowing your own worthiness in this, because Chiron, and like the wounds of Chiron, suggest that you will be essentially removing your own value when it comes to these things, that you actually might have the opportunity to stand up and be Libra, but you might take yourself out of the equation because you devalue yourself. And this is the most important thing that I feel like we've talked about yet tonight, is that you need to not do that anymore. That you need to start seeing your value and seeing that your perspective is extremely important when it comes to these matters of justice, when it comes to other people's problems, because of what you've been through, because of what you've been through validates your opinion.
Yeah, so I think we're going to start closing this up here. Did you, Veneficus, have anything you want to add to any last looks or things that we haven't gone over yet with the chart?
I think I do, have to mention and bring attention to the fact that your whole chart looks a bit like a giant bow and arrow that's pointing right at the sign of Sagittarius, which is the sign of the bow and arrow. And I think that's pretty significant. And so you have the moon, Jupiter, Mars, and the descendant sign all right there in Sagittarius, and Pluto is sitting right there on the cusp as well. So this just makes you a very Sagittarius person. And Sagittarius is very much the life of the party, just altogether the most positive sign, and they want to give that positivity to everybody else. They're literally the hope bringers, the faith bringers. They literally the ones that hold the light to lead the way for everybody else. They're the preachers, the prophets. And with your moon being in there, the moon literally symbolizing kind of like your subdominant personality. It's like the you that you really are, the one that's hiding underneath all the layers. And you're a Sagittarius. You really are full of hope and full of faith. And, I really hope that people in your life haven't tried to take that away from you. And, that you're still holding on to that you're just bearing that light.
Yeah, as a sun Sagittarius, that's really resonant, and I really do. There's a lot of this in which I resonate with on a personal level, with that torchbearer sort of energy. So, with that being said, I wanted to share sort of a channeled passage that I'd written about your chart, even before deeply analyzing it, and just kind of give you an overview of everything that we see, and you can take what resonates, leave the rest, of course.
Oh, that's great.
So this is what I have. You are an alchemist. You are here to transmute your trauma and struggle into gifts that allow you to serve the whole. You are innately blessed with the ability to identify how to heal humanity in creative and innovative ways. You seek higher knowledge in understanding the self and aid others in doing the same.
Wow. That was truly beautiful. And that is all the time that we have left. So thank you so much, Cicada Cam, for doing this with me. And I'm looking forward to doing, 100,000 more of these with you in the future. So that is everything that I have for you guys today. And if you really liked what you heard today, then I would really like it if you guys got in contact with me and got yourself signed up for your own astrology breakdown. We would love to do this for you. We want to dive in and learn about your personality and help you understand these stars better. Like, I've been studying this stuff for 7 years, and I want to show you guys what I've learned. Like, don't let all this research just go to waste, man. Then what am I? Nothing.
Okay, yeah, so...
So if you are interested in having your own astrology breakdown video, I want you to click the link in my bio, follow the link tree to the Etsy, and then get yourself signed up. It's really easy. You just got to follow the prompts. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.
Bye.